What's happening, guys? Oxford King here, and in this Path of Exile 2 video, I'm going to walk you through every single way that you can get power charges. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do here is grab resonance for this portion of the video. What this does is gain power charges instead of frenzy charges. So go ahead and grab that first, and it's right here on the tree. Before we get into the skills, I want to show you where you can get more power charges on the tree, especially right here on the monk side of the tree. The first one you can get is right here on the tree, and it is called the Power Within. You get +1 to maximum power charges. If you come down here a little bit further, you get another +1 to maximum power charges called Lust for Power. If you come all the way over here to the east side of the tree, you're going to see overflowing power, and you get +2 to maximum power charges. Okay, for the first section of this video, we're going to be going over the Hand of Chayula coupled with Sniper's Mark, and then a support gem of Profusion. Now, Hand of Chayula says the following: dash to an enemy and strike them with an unarmed attack, applying socketed curses and marks. With reduced effect, this skill always strikes with your bare fist, even if you have a quarterstaff equipped. So what does that mean? That means we're going to have the Sniper's Mark equipped with Hand of Chayula and will mark an enemy. Sniper's Mark says it marks a target. The next critical hit the target receives consumes the mark to deal extra damage and grants you a frenzy charge. So how do we get this to become a power charge? Come back over to the passive tree, and you're going to look for a passive called Resonance, where it says gain power charges instead of frenzy charges. And a good support gem to use with this is called Profusion. It says support skills that can generate charges, giving them a chance to generate an additional charge when they do so. And here we have supported skills have a 50% chance to grant an additional charge. A really good support gem for this setup. Hand of Chayula can be obtained by a tier 9 uncut gem like you see here on screen. Sniper's Mark can be obtained with an uncut skill gem at tier 7. Profusion can be obtained as a tier 1 support gem. Now let's go ahead and put this into practice. Let's find some enemies here, and what's going to happen is we're going to gap close into the enemy. We're going to mark them with a green symbol above their head like that you see on screen. And then you're going to simply attack. And once you critically strike, you're going to take in that frenzy charge, and it's going to convert it into a power charge like you see on screen. Another way to get power charges is with Combat Frenzy. This is a spirit gem, so keep that in mind. And it does require 30 spirit to use. It says the following: while active, grants you a frenzy charge when you freeze, electrocute, or pen an enemy. This can only occur once every few seconds, but in this example, it's 1.88 seconds. So it happens fairly often. For me, I'm electrocuting enemies. Now remember, with Combat Frenzy, you're gaining frenzy charges. So as we mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that you have resonance for this setup. Just remember, for Combat Frenzy, you need to enable this, especially for you new players out there who have no idea what we're talking about. It's going to reserve spirit, okay? You got to make sure that you have at least 30 spirit, and you're going to come in here and equip this on whichever weapon set that you're using, because we do have 2 weapon sets. So in this example, we have it on weapon set 1, and there's Combat Frenzy right here. We're going to go and turn that on. Now, I don't have it on my second weapon set because I'm using other spirits here. So just make sure that you have it equipped and turned on for the correct weapon set. So to put that into practice here, you can use Hand of Chayula and Sniper's Mark along with Combat Frenzy to gain power charges. So here you see on the screen, we have five power charges already. Okay, the next way to get power charges is with Killing Palm. You can couple that with the support gem called Profusion, like we mentioned earlier. Now here's the thing with Killing Palm: make sure that you do not have resonance, because with Killing Palm, you actually gain power charges outright and not a frenzy charge. So if you have resonance and you use Killing Palm, you're going to be actually gaining endurance charges instead. So make sure you do not have resonance for this part of the video. Killing Palm says the following: it dashes to an enemy and strikes them with an unarmed attack, culling enemies if their life is low enough. Each enemy killed by this strike grants a power charge. Enemies around you that can be culled will be highlighted. This skill always strikes with your bare fist, even if you have a quarterstaff equipped. That means that you only get a power charge when the enemy is about to die, and they'll have a blue glow symbol or an icon or some type of a spirit-like object hovering in and around them. All right, you see that blue on that enemy right there, that blue icon? That's how you know it's ready to be attacked with Killing Palm, like that right there. And what do you know? We got 2 power charges with that. This one's really good for early on as you're leveling. Killing Palm can be acquired on the tier 1 uncut skill gem level. Okay, the next skill we're going to be talking about is Siphoning Strike, and it says the following: dash to a target and strike them with your quarterstaff. If the target is shocked, consumes the shock to release a lightning shockwave around the target and grant you a power charge. So take note that the enemy must be in a shocked state first. You can use this as a basic attack, but just know if the enemy is not shocked, you cannot take in a power charge. So please keep that in mind. Siphoning Strike can be acquired with an uncut skill gem of a tier 7. I will tell you that this skill is a great gap closer. It is probably one of my favorites when it comes to mobility. But if you notice, when I'm attacking enemies, nothing's happening. They're not giving me any power charges. It's nothing, right? And I even have that support gem linked to it for a chance to shock. And you can see here, nothing's happening. So that's probably the downside of this skill. If you're trying to get power charges, I'm not a fan of this one, but people really like it. It's got a good gap closer. So what you do is you want to shock. You see, I was using another skill to shock them, and now I have a power charge. Now I have 3 power charges. You get what I'm saying? So if you have this, you want to make sure that you use your other abilities to shock enemies to grant you power charges. It's a little bit more, I guess, combo heavy if you're trying to get power charges this way. But it can work. And the gap closing, like I said, it's really awesome. So typically what I do when I use this is I'll gap close in, I'll use my other skill to shock, and then I'll bob and weave in between that skill as well. I mean, look how we're zipping around. You get what I'm saying? So it's a really, really good mobility skill, especially early on. The next skill we're going to be talking about is called Lingering Illusion. This is actually a spirit gem that requires a reservation of 30 spirit, so keep that in mind. And again, if you're new, to enable this, you're going to simply open up this menu right here and toggle on Lingering Illusion. Simply use an uncut spirit gem and you can grab Lingering Illusion. It's going to be on the tier 8 line. And what Lingering Illusion does is it creates a short-lived illusory copy of yourself whenever you dodge roll. This does include blink as well. So dodge rolling and the spell blink, they both work. The copy can be damaged by enemies, and copies that are destroyed by an enemy will grant you a power charge. So what we're going to do is let's put that into practice. Let me go find a bunch of enemies here, and we are going to just simply dodge around. So actually, let me show you something real quick. When you dodge around like rolling, your traditional one, you see the effect right there, the illusory right there, your image, that's what it does. And if you turn on blink like this, blink also has the image left behind. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go find some enemies right here and dodge out of the way. And you see right there, boom, I already have 2 power charges just like that, just by simply dodging around. See, now I have 4, 6. It's pretty awesome. So this is a great way to get power charge just by simply rolling around, or like I said earlier, blinking around. You can still get, as long as the enemies kill the illusory. Another way to get power charges is with a spell. Actually, it's called Profane Ritual, and it says the following: it marks a corpse with a profane rune, dealing chaos damage over time to nearby enemies. When the ritual is complete, the corpse is consumed and you gain a power charge. Again, make sure that you do not have resonance on your tree, or you'll get endurance charges instead. Profane Ritual is found with an uncut skill gem under the occult category, and it's on the tier 7 row. So let's put this into practice. What we're going to do is we're going to kill some mobs. I'm going to cast the spell Profane Ritual to gain power charges. Let's get started. So here we go. These enemies are dead. I simply just cast like this. And once the ritual is over, boom, we now have a power charge. That's how you use Profane Ritual. Now, there's even a better way of using this spell, because Profane Ritual, although great, you have to stop and cast. There's an animation that happens by casting a spell, okay? So we can actually speed this up and make it instant. How do we do that? We do that by a spirit meta gem that's called Reaper's Invocation. The cost of this is very high. It's 60 spirit. So it says the following: while active, this invocation gains energy when you kill an enemy with a melee attack. Using the invocation, once sufficient energy is gathered, will consume the energy to trigger any socketed spells that's linked to it, and can trigger them multiple times if it has enough energy. So in our example here, we're going to have Reaper's Invocation along with Profane Ritual, and then we're going to have Profusion as the support gem. To grab Reaper's Invocation, you'll grab an uncut spirit gem, and it's going to be under tier 14. The row tier 14 is right there on your screen, Reaper's Invocation. Just remember though, you have to enable the spirit gem by coming into your skills menu here, coming down to Reaper's Invocation, opening up this menu, and make sure Reaper's Invocation is turned on. Again, it's 60 spirit. Okay, I went ahead and built up the energy here, and if you look at the bottom of the screen where it says R1, we have 5 charges. So you do not need to wait for 100%. You don't need to wait for that. You can at least get 1 charge. I like to have 5 charges because all 5 go out at the same time on the corpses, okay? So let me go find some corpses right here. I'm going to hit R1, and look at that. We got all 5 came out, and boom, I get 3 power charges just like that. Here's an example of how many charges I have. It's at 44%, but I have 2 charges to use. So I want to keep that in the video to show you. You don't have to wait for 100%. Now, here's the cool thing. I'm going to walk around, and I'm going to cast it, and watch what happens. It just works. It's instant. There's no stopping and casting like the manual spell. This one's way better in quality of life for power charges, okay? But the downside is you need corpses. With no corpses, you don't get power charges. Let me know if I missed anything, guys, on power charges. Drop a comment. Let me know which ones are your favorite ways to get power charges. Thanks for watching.